We've taken time to read through much of John's account of the crucifixion of Jesus. It's interesting and instructive to me that half of John's gospel covers just 1 week of time. All of the last chapters from 12 right through to the end deal with this week of Easter and those events. And this is by no means an accident. The trajectory of Jesus' life was to culminate at Easter, where he would be crucified in a torturous death and victoriously resurrected the third day. Jesus was aware that every step he took was ordered by his heavenly Father, by his Father's plan and by his Father's timetable. John reminds us over and over again that Jesus was very aware of what his destiny was and where he was going and what he was going to do. In fact, it begins right in John chapter 2 and verse 4, where his mother wants him to do some things, and he says to her, "My hour has not yet come." In chapter 7, the religious leaders want to take him into custody. They want to bring him in. But it says this, "But no one laid a hand on him because his hour had not yet come." In chapter 8 of John, the leaders again wanted to take him into custody, yet no one seized him because his hour had not yet come. In fact, in John 7, the temple guards were to bring Jesus in. They were sent out to capture Jesus and to bring him in and to the authorities. And when he came back, they came back empty-handed. And when they were asked why they hadn't brought him in, they replied, "No one ever spoke like this before." It was crazy. Police out to bring in a person, and they listened to him, and he was so compelling that they came back empty-handed. They were absolutely mesmerized. But now the hour has come, and Jesus will surrender himself to the abuse, to the cruel torture that was reserved for the worst of the worst. This is how they were put to death. You want to put him to death? Do so in a way that will really have some punch to it, some that will really have an effect as people see what it's like to die on a cross, and to understand what it is to cause problems for the Roman governor. One of the fascinating features in John's account of the crucifixion is the understanding that we have that Jesus was in control of everything. He exercised control over all of the proceedings that would happen. The crucifixion, the account of the crucifixion was the exercise of all of these proceedings, and we see Jesus. In the midst of all of this, he's strong, he's focused, he's fearless, he's determined, he is sovereign, he's in control. It's his time, he's driving the agenda, he's driving the timing of all of this, and he's not a victim. He's not a victim. He has voluntarily placed himself in harm's way. He's come for a purpose and will submit to his mission. That's the timing of Jesus. In fact, the religious leaders wanted to do away with Jesus, but they calculated that the risk was too great to do it during the Passover. They would have tens of thousands of pilgrims that would be there for the Passover. And the problem would be Jesus had some popularity, as Pastor Daniel spoke last week about his raising Lazarus from the dead, and people were talking. They were all abuzz. Do you think he'll be at the feast? Is he going to be here? Is he coming? And so the religious leaders felt it was important for them to not do it at this time, but to do it afterwards. And when the crowds would have gone, and where they wouldn't be necessarily riots if they could do it quietly. Matthew tells us 2 days before the feast, that the religious leaders planned to arrest Jesus secretly and to kill him, but not during the festival, or there might be a riot. But Jesus was the Passover lamb. He was to be crucified. He was to be put to death at Passover. It was to be on his schedule, his timetable, not theirs. And Jesus states in John 10 and verse 18, he says, "No one takes my life from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have the authority to lay it down and the authority to take it up again. This command I have received from my Father." He said, nobody kills me. I lay down my life when I want to. And did you notice that? And I take it up again. He even is instrumental in his own resurrection. And he receives that from the Father. So the hour has finally come. Jesus has put himself in a place that Judas would be aware of. Judas would know where to find Jesus as he went and made his plans. It was going to bring all these soldiers and these police to the garden. Jesus didn't run from that. He didn't hide from that. He made himself accessible. And it's interesting that the Roman soldiers, and John particularly, of all the Gospels, likes to tell us about so much of what the Romans are doing in this. And they have a bigger part to play. But here we come. We've got the temple police. We've got some of the religious rulers. And we have a Roman detachment. That's a lot of soldiers. And they're coming with torches, and they're coming with lanterns, and they're coming with weapons because it's night, and it's Passover is at the time of full moon. And so they wanted to be able to find them and catch them and bring them in. And John records in John 18 and verse 4, Jesus, knowing that all that was going to happen to, went out and confronted this group. And it's interesting